I'm going to remove the blocks. I might keep one here actually. And I'm going to move back towards the back of the chair seat so that when I come down, I'm more flat on that bolster and I can drape my chin off the end of it and the bolster is between my legs. So I'm going to wiggle my feet up. Again, I might find kind of a chair leg that I can use, or I might just keep my feet flat on the floor. But where the legs are really coming into flexion and up towards the head and shoulders, okay? Play with where you hold the chair. Again, find a spot where it feels like you get length through your spine. You don't get into a traffic jam in your neck or your shoulders. Okay, so there's lots of options. We're going to take some breaths here, and then again you're going to keep one leg up forward and take one leg back. Now the chair back itself will limit where you can get that leg to. You could turn the head to one side or the other. Okay, then I'm going to bring the other leg back. So both legs are back now. Okay, then I'm going to keep that one leg back and move that other leg forward again. Two more breaths here. Okay, then bring that foot up. We're going to press ourselves up. We're going to take that yoga block, if you've got a bolster, and it's going to come down to the other end of that bolster now. And then we're going to have one yoga block. So really that bolster is supported by those two yoga blocks. Okay, so I'm sitting on that one end. I'm going to lay right down over it, and I can wrap my arms around the bolster and between the chairs. And then play with what you want to do with the legs. You know, do you want one forward, one back? Do you want both of them back? You want to have the legs someplace and the arms someplace that as you're breathing here, there is a sense of the back body expanding and the air getting all the way down to the pelvis. So you feel the areas of the kidneys fill. It's like we're getting the creases out of the back of our shirt. And then if your hands are down below you in some way, I want you to reach them back to the chair back behind you. For a few breaths. And you could have one hand back, and you could work one hand onto the chair seat. And you might turn your head towards that front to look at that front bicep. Okay, and then you're going to switch the arms. So one comes forward and one comes back. And you're going to turn and look at the bicep of that front arm. Okay, then you're going to bring both hands onto that chair seat. Push yourself up, keep the hips down so we come into a bit of back extension here. This is where I like to use my ladder, because then I can bring these hands up higher and it's slightly different. We could try it here. Put the forearms on that chair back and think of reaching the elbows towards the back of the chair. And you'll feel how that puts the different kind of direction or extension into the cervical vertebra. And you can kind of play with keeping it cervical and less lumbar, or letting the lumbar really go. I like to kind of work the lumbar the other way and just keep that extension and cervical, and then take a couple of breaths there. Okay, I'm going to walk the feet forward. So this is where we're going to go next. You can use one chair. I'm going to show it with two. just because I think most people aren't going to have a yoga chair that has no back on it, although this folding chair works too. I'll show you both ways, and then you can decide which way, based on the chairs and props that you have, is the way you want to go. Okay. So I have to move these guys this way. And then I'm going to put blocks on this side of the chairs. Because my chair seats have a slightly slight height difference, I'm going to put my felt pad on this one so that they even out. Okay, and then you could use couch cushions, okay? You could use some folded blankets, folded towels. I'm going to use one pillow at the bottom. I find these kind of squishy, so I'm actually going to use a blanket as well, because I find these blankets have a bit more structure to them. So the blanket just is a little bit firmer. And I can play with the height of that. Okay, so this is my setup. Then what I'm going to do is come over here, feet on my blocks. I'm going to sit on my chairs. Okay, so I'm sitting on my chair edge, and you're going to have to scoot your butt forward. Start to lay back. The feet don't stay on the block, so the feet are going to have to come off the ground. Yee! Not too far off the ground. I've slid off. So I want my shoulders to hit the bolster, and then my head kind of hits the blankets. Okay, my feet are going to come up in the air, and then I can hold my chair, legs back, however helps me stay balanced. Could keep the legs here, okay? Could keep one leg here and take one leg towards the floor. Okay, you can kind of play with the shapes that you make. So because of the two chairs I have, I don't love the front of this one folding chair really tips up. So I'm actually going to come off of this. So the easiest way to come off of this, I find, is I hold the chair, I let myself slide off the chairs, and then come to the side to evacuate. So I'm going to show you this setup with a single chair, because I like that better just based on the chairs that I have. This chair seat is a lot flatter, so I find that whereas the other one, it really kind of goes up at the front, so then it's kind of pressing into my back. So I don't need the felt pad on this one. So when I use the single chair, I find I go side saddle, okay? I bring my legs up and hook them on the back, because that keeps me balanced and I can control my descent really easily onto the backs of my shoulders. So the bolster is under the shoulder blades. Okay, and then my head water falls off that and just it's kissing the blanket. So I can keep my legs hooked here like this. I can work the chair legs and my arms to find, a little bit more lift through that sternum. Okay, and I can work that a little bit. I could bring the balls of my feet onto the chair back, but you want to make sure that you're pressing, because if I am not pressing onto that chair back, the chair will start to come with me, which again is fine. You'll just waterfall off the prop pile. But so keep a ball of the foot pressing into the chair back, and then you can work some different positions. Okay, I can keep one foot on the chair back and hook one leg. I could work one leg underneath, or to rest at the knee on that chair back and be pressing back. Okay, but the top of my pelvis is still on the chair seat, and my shoulders are on the pile of props. This is a bit more of an inversion than simply getting the hips up onto a bolster, which in springtime can be, following winter, can be very nice and very grounding. So the forward folds we did on the chair, also grounding, calming. Same with this type of inversion. Okay, and then from here again, I can just press into the feet so my hips slide off. I can come down now. My pelvis is on that bolster, and I'm choking myself because if I've got a hood. There we go. I can keep my feet on the chair back, or I could bring my feet to the chair seat. Now I'm slightly less inverted. I've got different supports. I could reach legs over that chair back, or again, simply rest them somewhere in the chair arm. I also like doing Baddha Konasana here. You know, let the chair kind of tip away from me and towards me a little bit. So I've just tucked my feet through the chair back. You could also, I don't like that kind of hits me on the Achilles. But if I can kind of get it wiggled back a little bit so it's more on my heel, or up a little bit so it's more on my calf. That could work. I'm going to wiggle this and actually just keep my legs low and on the chair back, with my feet dangling off the other end. Okay, then I'm going to stand those feet up. And I like to just roll to one side off of that pile of props and take my time pressing myself up. Okay, we're going to use this setup and do one more kind of inversion. We're going to scoot the props out of the way. Keep the chair. You might make a little bit of height for yourself with the yoga blocks. So that your pelvis is on something and the weight of you isn't on the tops of the feet or the shins. Okay? So set up your yoga blocks at a height that lets you fold the legs up underneath you without compressing the front of the shins, top to the feet, that things are comfy back there. Okay? Then I'm going to place my bolster through my chair back. Maybe gotta move forward. And then I'm going to use my pillow. Pull that up. And you can just reach back onto the chair back. So now we've got the inversion. We're just flipping it the other way. And it ought not feel like there's like a hinge point anywhere, but that you've got this nice sustained kind of arc from the knees all the way up to the armpits, elbows, throat to pubic bone. And that as you're breathing in and as you're breathing out, there's some movement happening. So the prop placement isn't an exact science, because depending, if I had one less block underneath my bottom, then that would change the bolster placement and the pillow placement. It would change where the back of the chair hit me. So play around a little bit, give yourself some time and space to build the pose up from the ground up. But I just wanted to give us some options today where we could use the chairs and get up off the ground and maybe find some different positions and degree of ease than when we try to do things in just like a child's pose orientation on the ground. Okay, let yourself roll shoulders, torso off to one side to raise yourself up. And then slip the props off the chair. And we're going to move that chair in front of us to finish. You could take the legs out straight. You can leave them in this folded configuration. So you decide. You're going to nestle that chair up to whatever degree works for you. And then we're just folding over the bolster. You could turn the head one side or the other. And you actually might want to move the chair more forward to give yourself a little bit more space. But no, the more forward you come, if the legs are folded, the more pressure will come to the knees and to the tops of the feet. And then as quietly as possible, you're going to transition from the seated forward fold out into Shavasana. And become aware of the sounds of my voice and the sound of the room you're in, and of the sensations, the body and the surface it rests on. Sensations of pressure, numbness, tingling, warmth, coolness. Starting to wiggle fingers and toes. Bringing movement back to the body, maybe stretching out long or curling into a ball or rolling a body part from side to side. You'll make your way onto a side. And then take a moment there before you press yourself up to a seated position. Just take a second and feel yourself in that fetal position. The top half of the body resting on the support of the bottom half of the body. And find a seat. Feel the grounding and support of the pelvis and the legs. Take a moment just to take in the sense of verticality through the spine, the shoulders and the neck. Maybe you bring the palms together, thumbs just before the breast, just to the left of the breastbone in Anjali Mudra. Breathing in with a sense of ease and out with a sense of gratitude. Om Shanti Shanti, peace.